guys, it's Fox. Before we get started, I want to do a little bit of a disclaimer. Obviously, this con horror story is going to be a little less like humor focused, I guess. Obviously, you can see the title, and I just want to put the disclaimer out there that those topics will be talked about. And I also want to say that if you deal with stuff like this, you should absolutely talk to your local convention staff. You should talk to your parents or your close friends, and definitely reach out if you're struggling as a result of something like this or just in general. To start, here is the typical disclaimer. Everything that I talk about in these videos is how I experienced them. It's how I interpreted them. It's my opinions on the events. Just because I say it doesn't mean it's 100% true, because everyone interprets a situation differently. So I'm just telling you what I know, how I reacted, and how I felt and feel about it. So, as I said, my name is Fox. Welcome to another episode of Fox Tales. Woo! Because apparently that's the thing I'm now doing. As most of my stories go, I was dressed as Naruto because I had a lot of weird experiences in my Naruto cosplay. I had a lot of great experiences in my Naruto cosplay too, so like it kind of balances out. But I have like a weirdly high number of like con horror stories of me dressed as Naruto. So, dressed as Naruto, this was at Anime Next. I don't remember what year. Again, it seems like a lot of this stuff happened at Anime Next. That was one of my main cons before I like realized all the other East Coast cons and stuff. So I went to Anime Next every year, and yeah, that's why most of these stories are there. Second Anime Next location, so it had the Red Bridge. So we were in the back near the Red Bridge, and I was dressed as Naruto, and we had a big Naruto group. And I guess I'll just name people by characters because that's the easiest way to do this. Kiba and I were just being like awful people to each other because that was our friendship. Everyone else was like, you know, taking pictures on the bridge or hanging out, whatever. We also had one friend with us who was young, and I actually don't remember her name, but I remember her username, which is like awful. Like, that's such a bad friendship, but whatever. So the friend whose name I can't remember, but I remember their username, they were dressed as L from Death Note. They were the only non-Naruto cosplayer hanging out with us at the time. And then there was this other girl, and we're gonna call her BB for Blue Bitch because, and I remember her vividly, she had bright blue hair, I believe in pigtails. She had like steampunk goggles and like a dark gray or black, a black like corset top with like straps and like a black like fluffy skirt, and then black tights or striped tights, whatever. She looked like almost like a Misa from Death Note cosplayer, but she obviously wasn't because she had the blue hair and the goggles and everything. That's the setup. That's the scene that we're going for. Kiba and I were basically just wrestling at this point. We had a weird friendship. I wouldn't change it for the world because I absolutely adore him, but I'm pretty sure we were just like wrestling each other and like trying to like beat the shit out of each other, but like jokingly, but also not. Like, we teased each other a lot. We made fun of each other in character, and I don't know, I think we were just like rolling around on the grass like being losers. And all of a sudden this girl like self-inserts herself into our fight. We just kind of like went around her like, who are you? No. And so I believe it ended with me like sitting on Kiba because, and like we were both just like tired and like done. We were like, no, we're out, and we're laughing. And I go to stand up, and all of a sudden I just feel someone's hand on my crotch, like straight up. No, like I don't know who this person is, like whatever. And it's BB, of course. We don't know her. She didn't even say hello, like so there's this hand like on my crotch, but it's not like, I don't want to like make obscene gestures, but it was like cupping. Like, it wasn't like just a like, hi, hello. It was like a full handful. She like looked at me and was like, I just wanted to check, and then like flounced away. And I was like, what? I was like stunned because this was the first big instance I had experienced of cosplay is not consent. I've had a lot of little incidents and like some bigger ones, but this was the first big one. And I was dressed as Naruto. Like, I was dressed as a dude, I was wearing very baggy clothing, like, it's not the typical like sexy costume type of thing. And that's not to say that only people in sexy costumes get harassed at cons, because that's not true, because I've gotten harassed in so many different male cosplays. It's not even funny, but that's a different story for a different day. So I'm just like shell-shocked and standing there. So imagine Naruto just like in a field, like, which is basically the plot of like half the Naruto episodes. But Kiba slithers on next to me, he walks next to me, and he goes, "That girl just grabbed my crotch." And I was like, "You too? Like, what?" And he was like, "Yeah, she said that she wanted to like check." And I was like, okay, she did the same thing to me, and I'm really uncomfortable, because she could have just asked like, "Hey, are you a guy or a girl, or what? Like, what do you identify as?" Or if you wanted to be super rude, like, "What's in your pants?" Like, there's a million ways you could verbally ask this that would still be more appropriate than grabbing people in their crotches. Like I don't know what this girl was thinking. I don't even know what to think of it now. Like, and it's been years, and I'm still just like, I have no idea what she could have possibly been thinking to think that that was okay. Especially because, like I said, we didn't say hi to her. She didn't say hi, like, "Who are you? My name's blah, who are you?" Like, none of that. It was just uncomfortable. And I remember feeling this gross, like, prickly, crawly feeling under my skin, where I was just like, ugh. But I was young, and I didn't really understand like the concept of going to staff to talk about a problem cosplayer, because it was still like a very idealistic world to me, where I was like, all cosplayers are my friends because we're all nerds. No, that's not how life works. This is only the start of the story, but that's basically the groping bit of this story. So from there, BB hangs around. She's still around, and we're just giving her like a wide circle, but I see her kind of like hanging all over my friend dressed as Elle. And my friend dressed as Elle was younger than us, I remember, not by much, but just a little bit younger. BB like flounced away, and I say flounced, but it's because she would like skip and stuff, and I'd be like, Elle came up to me at one point and was just like, "I don't know what to do. She keeps making me like incredibly uncomfortable, and I've asked her to stop, but she won't. And like, she keeps touching me and being like clingy, and like, I don't know her." And I remember being like, "You don't know her? Like, I assumed that maybe you guys were friends because she was hanging all over you, and like, that's why she was here, but you don't know her? We don't know her." Like, me being dressed as Naruto and being a self-sacrificing moron, apparently, the next time I see this girl, BB goes up to our friend dressed as Elle, and Elle is like sitting on top of the fence on the red bridge. Elle is sitting up there, and BB just forces her way in between Elle's legs, and Elle looks so uncomfortable, and it's just kind of like, "Can you please stop?" Whatever. So me, like I said, being dressed like an orange idiot and also being an idiot, I went up to BB and was like, "Hi, I'm really sorry, but would you mind not doing that to my girlfriend, because it's making her uncomfortable, and we're dating, so like, I'd appreciate it if you don't do that." And, like, polite as can be. And I should know, Elle and I were absolutely not dating. Like, in no way. I did not have my bisexual awakening for a couple more years, but I figured, hey, that might be a good, hey, this person's taken, I won't harass them anymore. Well, it didn't work, and she got very angry. Like, very angry. Like, you know Hades from Hercules with the fire hair? Just imagine that, but like a girl in cheap goth clothing. So she turned around and she punched me as hard as she could into like my stomach, chest, kind of my chest. It was higher up. I don't exactly remember the exact point, because all I remember was kind of pain, because, and this is another life lesson, wear a binder if you're gonna bind. This was of the time when binders were still kind of like getting known, and I was like, I don't want to buy a binder. That's money. I'll just wear 2 sports bras on top of each other, which was so uncomfortable and definitely probably not safe, so don't do that. So anyway, she punches me right in the chest and I go down because she punched me like where my binding was, and it just made me lose, it like knocked the wind out of me. Like all of my breath just went flying out and I just kind of collapsed on this bridge like because it was just one of those like perfect spots where it was just, all the air was gone. I like look up and I just see my friend who's dressed as Sasuke Uchiha, yell, "What the hell?" and just start like running, full-blown like sprints across this field to me, stops at BB and goes, "What the hell are you thinking? You can't just hit someone, like what is wrong with you, blah, blah, blah." And like, I don't remember the full conversation because I couldn't breathe, but he was yelling at her and he chased her off apparently, which, good for him, like Sasuke standing up for Naruto, the true romance. But basically, I was laying on this bridge, like I kind of like pushed myself into a seated position and like wiggled my way back so I was sitting against like a wall, like the fence or whatever, and I was just like hand on my chest, like trying to breathe again because I could not get my breath back. I remember Sasuke like crouching down in front of me like, "Naru, are you okay? Like, what the hell's wrong with that bitch? Like, are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can't get my breath back." Like, so eventually I got my breath back and we were all just kind of like, what the shit was that? Like, who is this girl? Like, this was the point where we were like, we should talk to a staff member, which honestly, that point should have hit us like 20 minutes earlier when she first started like groping us. Like, again, we were young, we had no idea, I didn't really get talking to staff. But issue was too, like, we didn't get her name, we didn't know what was on her badge. All we had was a physical description, and sometimes at conventions that's hard because people change their physical appearance all the time. But we looked for a staff member, couldn't find one, and then just kind of forgot about it, which is not a good thing. Don't do that. Find a staff member and tell them, because that person could be going around and harassing others. So definitely do not listen to what I did because it was wrong, like 100% wrong, and I still regret not openly talking to staff because people can get banned from conventions. Like, I know, or well, I don't, yeah, actually I do know some of the future creeper stories. I do know people who have been banned from cons, and like not on a personal level, but like I've met them or seen them or even interacted with them, and they're no longer allowed at conventions that I attend because of their actions. And I think that's good. Like, people shouldn't be allowed to go back. So yeah, basically, if you ever find yourself in some sort of situation where someone is forcing themselves on you or touching you in a way that you're not comfortable with, or not listening to you when you're not giving consent, or physically hurting you in any way, talk to staff, talk to your friends. I know my friends were definitely a little bit extra protective that day afterwards because they were just like, there was a full moment where we saw you fall and be unable to catch your breath and like gasp on a bridge, and that's scary. And it was scary to be like involved in that too because I had never been punched before. Like, maybe I have a punchable face, but like I tried not to be. Like, I'm laughing and making it like entertaining, but it's not really a laughing matter. Cosplay is not consent, and regardless of what you're wearing, no one should put their hands on you in any way that you're uncomfortable with. And if they do, you should talk to a staff member. You should make sure you have friends or family with you that will look out for you. And yeah, if something like that has happened to you and you're still struggling with it, I highly recommend speaking to someone about it. Someone professional would obviously help the most, but if you're not ready for that, talking to friends and family can also help, or even just emailing your local convention and saying, you know, this happened to me, this is who it was, or next time it occurs, if you know, just say something. If you see something happen to someone else, also say something, because even if staff can't help at that moment, they'll keep it in mind, and if another situation occurs with the same description, they'll know, like, this is the person that we've already had a complaint about. They cannot come back to this con because they are causing problems. And yeah, that definitely wasn't the most funny story, But that is my life, my con life. I hope that it kind of made you laugh. I hope that it made you think, and I hope that if you struggled with something similar, that you feel a little bit better about me telling one of my stories. Yeah, I mean, feel free to tell your own story if you're comfortable in the comments. I'd love to read some of them. Only if you're comfortable, not gonna force anyone or say that you have to or whatever, because no one should force you to share things that you're not ready to share. Basically, it's another story about consent and how consent is fun and how BB is terrible and I still hate her. Years later, I'm pretty much over it. I'm just still irritated about it, and I'm still like aware that this was wrong and I wish I had done more to prevent this in the future. Yeah, I'm rambling a little bit at this point, but I do want to like bring it home that this is not a laughing matter, that cosplay is not consent is a real issue in this community, that people believing that just because you're in costume, they have the right to touch you or talk to you a certain way, which is not true in the slightest, and you have the right to be safe and comfortable and not harassed. So I don't want to, like, this isn't a huge joke, it is definitely a serious issue, but I hope you enjoyed this video regardless. Let me know if you did. Thank you in advance for liking, commenting, subscribing, checking out my Instagram, checking out my Patreon, checking out my merch, or not, whatever you do you, it's fine. Anyway guys, my name is Fox. I love you all very much with your consent. And anyway guys, I will see you all very soon. Bye guys.